Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is the video version of my Tech Guy podcast. These shows originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks. Radio, but we make video available too. On Saturday and Sunday, April 30th and May 1st, 2011. You're about to see the best of episodes 765 and 766. Enjoy. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, and it's time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. I have to say that because we've got some new stations joining us today. We always are glad as we slowly expand the Tech Guy Network. I think I can safely call it the Tech Guy Network now. I think it's 142 stations and XM satellite radio. That's a couple of stations there. So I think it's today. I may be wrong, and if I am wrong, correct me, that we launch on Fox News Radio 810 in Franklin, Hart, and Madison, Wisconsin. And so we welcome them to our Tech Guy Network. I like the sound of that. And I tell everybody that the number is 888-827-5536. That's kind of hard to remember, so maybe the best way to remember that would be 8888 Ask Leo. We also welcome WISSAM in Berlin, Wisconsin. They don't like to say it that way, though. See, that's one of the things you got to do. You can't say, oh, it's WISS. When I was first starting in radio, so many moons ago, 35 years ago, we always had to do the call letters and the city of origin at the top of the hour, the legal network ID. I guess you still have to do that, right? But now, so we'd always say, I started in college radio, it was WYBC-FM New Haven. That's a mouthful. So I could say hello to WISS, but I think I'd rather say hello to Big Red AM 1100. Isn't that better? That sounds better. Big Red AM 1100. And to all the stations up and down the Tech Guy Network. It's tech news is just, I guess, is it the time of year or it's just things are happening faster and faster? There's so many interesting stories. I'll tell you one of the ones that maybe isn't that meaningful, but really catches the eye, at least for me. Apple and Microsoft announced their quarterly earnings this week. Google did last week. And all the companies are doing well, thank you very much. I mean, we don't have to say anything about that. Despite the downturn in the economy, the tech industry is doing very, very well. But here's what's significant about Apple and Microsoft. Microsoft's income was $5.23 billion on a total revenue of $16.42 billion. So they made $5.23 billion in 3 months. Wow. That's almost $2 billion a month. That's awesome. And for so long, they've led the pack in profits because, well, really, what does Microsoft make? They sell bits. Once they've written the operating system or the Office suite or the networking system, there's no manufacturing costs, especially less these days. You don't even have to print CDs anymore. People just download it. So it's all profit once you do the R&D, right? So, of course, they're pretty profitable. $5.23 billion. Apple, which makes hardware, $5.99 billion. For the first time ever, Apple had more profit than Microsoft in a quarter, more than $700 million more profit. $24.67 billion in revenue. So, yeah, their margin is not as high, but they had so much more revenue. They sold so many iPhones and iPads and even Macintoshes, the desktop and laptop computers, that they made more money in this quarter. That's kind of amazing. I know it probably isn't that significant, but I guess it does point out how well Apple's doing, because Microsoft is traditionally just the king of profits. And as we look at the stats, you know, we talk a lot about the fact that Android phones are starting to catch up with iPhone, and of course, Macintosh has always been a small part of the total overall PC market. But if you look at the numbers, market share for the OS X operating system is growing rapidly. Although I have to say, Microsoft, what did they say? They sold, I'll have to find the number, 350 million copies of Windows this year. Windows 7. Kind of amazing. Kind of remarkable. The other big story that's been going on all week, and I'll talk more about its implications, of course, is the fact that the PlayStation Network, Sony's PlayStation Network, was hacked to the point where Sony took it offline, and it's still down as they try to figure out what happened. And maybe you got an email from Sony, if you've ever created an account on the PlayStation Network, you did, saying, by the way, at least some states, I know the state of California and other states require that Sony notify people if private information, personal information has been leaked. This is the email I got. Valued PlayStation Network or Curiosity customer. Curiosity, I'm sorry. Spelled with a Q. That's why I'm confused. Qriocity. We have discovered that between April 17th and 19th, 2011, certain PlayStation Network and Curiosity service user account information was compromised. That's the word they use. Compromised in connection with an illegal and unauthorized intrusion into our network. We're not sure, by the way, how that happened, but the thinking is perhaps even a hacked PlayStation 3. In response to this intrusion, Sony goes on to say, we have, 1, temporarily turned off PlayStation Network and Curiosity services. They're still off, and they may be off for a long time. 2, engaged an outside recognized security firm. It's a good thing. You wouldn't want to use an unrecognized security. Recognized security. Yeah, it makes me laugh too. I don't recognize you. Security firm to conduct a full and complete investigation of what happened. That's the what part. And 3, quickly taken steps to enhance security and strengthen our network infrastructure by rebuilding our system. That means we're taking it offline and we're tearing it down and we're starting from scratch because we have no idea what the heck happened. What did they get, the bad guys? Well, we believe, according to Sony, that an unauthorized person has obtained the following information you provided. Name, address, city, state, zip, country, email address, birth date, PlayStation Network, Curiosity, password, and login, and handle, and PSN online ID. It's also possible your profile data, including purchase history and billing address, and your PlayStation Network Curiosity password security answers may have been obtained. Yeah. It's also possible maybe they got your credit card number. We can't rule that possibility out, so we advise you to contact your local credit reporting bureau, which they give you a phone number for, and put a fraud alert on there just in case. Some people have gone so far as to say, I'm going to cancel that credit card. Probably that, it's not a bad idea. You certainly should pay attention to your statement. See, I signed up when I have 2 PlayStation 3s. I have no idea when I signed up for the PlayStation Network. I'm sure I did, because you kind of do that when you get the thing. And I don't know if I gave it a credit card. I can't remember. I think I did. But I can't log in to find out, so I don't know. I don't even know if I gave him a credit card. It would have been a few years ago. I don't even know if it's still active. I don't know what credit card I gave him. Yeah, you might want to call somebody and maybe check that. Yeah, we might have lost every bit of information we know about you. The reason it's significant, first of all, is, well, it's obvious why it's a big deal for you and me. Significant that a big company like Sony was doing things like storing password information in the clear. This hasn't been good security procedure for decades. We'll talk more about it. 8888 Ask Leo, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Yeah, we're sorry, but you're going to have to change everything. You might want to move. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm trying to figure it out. The chat room is trying to figure it out, too. If the PlayStation Network is down, does that mean you can't play any new games? The game has to be authorized before you could play it the first time? Wow. That's pretty bad. That means you cannot buy a PlayStation 3 game now, right? Because you couldn't, even if you bought it in the store and you had the DVD and everything, you can't play it because you can't authorize it. Is that right? Wow. That's not so good. And then another person in the chat room has sent me the chart of the day from the businessinsider.com. Microsoft's online operating income. So Microsoft, they had a decent quarter. I mean, they made billions of dollars, more than $5 billion in 3 months. But one of the reasons they didn't make more, in fact, maybe this accounts for the $700 million jump Apple got on Microsoft, is their loss online. Microsoft in this quarter lost $725 million online. If you go back to September 05, they were making money, almost $100 million. And then down. The graph is kind of depressing, a steady drop. Now, you have to understand what that is. They're spending a lot of marketing money on Bing. You've seen the ads for Bing. That's where that money goes. And it's worth it. It's worth it to spend money on Bing because if you can take even... Now, my friend Jason Calacanis, who's a search entrepreneur and an expert on this, has told me that for every 1% of the search market you can get, you can make $1 billion a year on. That's how valuable that search is with ads. So Bing, it's worth spending a couple of $100 million or $700 million or whatever it is. Hey, who was it said? $100 million here, $100 million there starts to add up after a while. It's worth spending that money. Microsoft's in deficit spending mode, of course, because they want to build Bing into a Google, competitor. And if they can, gain 5% on Google by doing so, well, that's worth $5 billion. They'll make that money back PDQ. And they have been gaining some market share, but only by dint of extreme advertising. Do they still do those Bing ads? I didn't like them. You've seen the ones, right? They're very confusing. You feel like something's wrong with these people. They just start, spewing search terms. I'll find one and play it for you. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. While I'm finding that, let's go back to the phones, or go to the phones, first time today, so it's not back. Gary in Los Angeles, you're first. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Great. I have a question. I've got an extra PC, and I wanted to use it as an answering machine.
Oh.
So I've been looking around for software that'll do caller ID, message recording, call screening.
It ain't really the software you need, it's the hardware. And now, there are several ways to do this. We used to do it all the time. Remember those old U.S. robotics modems that had the voice modems? They could do that. They had a call center software and all that stuff. And because people still use dial-up a lot, that was a very popular solution. But nobody uses modems anymore. So I don't think is U.S. robotics even in business anymore? I think Cisco bought them. I don't even know if they still make. So in other words, good luck trying to find a voice modem. That's one thing that could help you with this. I think Zycel is the only company still making these, and they're really expensive. However, I've got another solution for you.
Okay.
It's called Asterisk. Now, this is even more super-duper-duper. What Asterisk is an open source, that means free, very powerful PBX system. You know what PBXs are? They're the office phone systems where it's not just an answering machine. It's multiple extensions and voicemail boxes and all this stuff. Now, of course, you could set it up to very simply be a single line and all of that, but it could do a lot more. So if you have a PC and you want a good, I think there are a lot of businesses do this. In fact, my new studio that we're building, we're going to use Asterisk, but we're not going to host it. We're going to go to a solutions provider that does a hosted version. But it's extremely powerful. But even if you have just one landline coming into your home, you would need a landline, of course, and then you have internet. It combines landline and voice over internet to do some very sophisticated stuff. What I would do is get a Trix box, which is a kind of Asterisk distribution that's kind of pre-built for you. TRIXBOX.com. And then you do need a little bit of hardware because you need an interface to the phone. In the old days, it was that U.S. Robotics voice modem, but if you're using Asterix or Trix box, you can. There's plenty of hardware, relatively expensive hardware, available to do that. Digium is the company that makes Asterisk, DIGIUM, and they sell little interface cards that will go in a slot in your PC. You plug in your phone line, and then you can do all of it. I mean, this is a lot more complicated. It's not that expensive. In fact, it's cheaper than buying a Zycel voice modem, but it's a lot more complicated. Is that too much?
There is a fax modem installed.
You have a fax modem, but it's not the fax modem. It's a voice fax modem.
Right, so they're different. Okay.
Yeah, because what happens when somebody calls, the fax picks up, or you get online, but what you need is something that will interface with a call box software that will do all that other stuff, and that has to be a voice fax modem. You can actually, I'm looking, some of the chat rooms just giving me, they're amazing. They found one on Amazon.com, the Hero. I'm not recommending it. It's USB, which is nice. You don't have to install it. It's XP 64-bit Vista ready. It is only $21, so even if it's kind of hard to get working, I guess it's not the end of the world, right?
Right.
It's on Amazon, HIRO. It's a V.92 56K Lucent chipset USB modem. Now I don't see voice, but they say it's a voice modem, so I'm going to look and see if it's a voice modem. Maybe I got misled. That's the key. Connexent makes a 56K voice fax. The other thing that you're going to want, besides the voice hardware, is software that goes with it, and presumably these guys distribute appropriate answering machine software, and that would do all the things you want to do, the voicemail box and all that. I used to do this. The problem is you have to leave the PC on all the time, right? It has to be hooked up to the phone line.
Right.
Yeah, here, this is not bad. This is, you know what? I should order one and just try it. This is $15 for a Connexent USB, so you don't even have to open up the machine, voice fax data modem. Do you still do dial-up internet?
No.
Okay, you just want to use it for voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be on anyway.
Right.
I'm using kind of a server, so.
Let me look at the reviews here. This is why I love Amazon. You can go to the reviews, and here's 17 people who bought the thing. One says, easy to install, works perfectly. Next one says, do not buy this. So, but hey, it's $15. You're not, it's not like, I would say a Zycel, which is hundreds of dollars, might work better, but it's a big risk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Win 7 works. I would check to see if it works. And do they include voice software? It doesn't look like it. It does say it works. Guy. We're talking about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. Back to the phones we go. Larry in Kentucky. Hi, Larry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
What are you laughing at? Are you laughing at the Mickey Mouse hat I'm wearing?
I wish I could see. I'm driving down the road in Kentucky.
Okay. We have in studio, we have a guy named Jan who wrote an app for the iPhone for Disney. What's it called? The Mouse Addict? And you can you use it to find out what's going on in Disneyland and things like that? Right. Oh, that's cool. California Adventures. That's cool. Mouse Addict. We'll have to check that out. So what can I do for you, Larry?
Well, I downloaded some audiobooks from my iTunes store, and I loaded them on my Nano, and I listened to them, and now
you're done.
they're taking up a lot of
Right.
space. And I have no room for my podcast anymore.
So here's the deal on that. It's really pretty simple. You can. My suggestion, the way I do it, is by a setting in iTunes. If you go to the front, when you dock your Nano, you can click on the Nano, and you're going to see some settings there. If you click on the Nano on the front page of the settings, and one of the check boxes is only sync checked music. Then you go into your library and you uncheck the books you don't want. That means they stay in your library. They're still around, but you just don't sync them. In fact, the next time you sync that Nano, it will remove them.
Yeah, see, I deleted all the ones from my library, but they were still on my Nano.
Right. It won't delete them from the library. It won't delete them from the Nano. What you have to do is uncheck them, and then it'll delete them from the Nano. The other way to do it is to, and this is another way that I like, because I listen to audiobooks like crazy, and I have literally 400 audiobooks that I've downloaded over the last 8 or 9 years.
Sound like me.
Yeah, I love them. Well, if you drive a lot, are you a truck driver?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Live in the truck.
So it's got to be a lifesaver for you to have, not only audiobooks, but you've got radio, of course. Thank you for listening to this show, but also podcasts. So there's a huge variety of things you can listen to while you drive, and that's great. And I know, especially when I've driven across country, there are places across country that you can get to which are radio wastelands. So it's nice to have something that you can listen to on the Nano. So yeah, it's another way to manage it would be, and this is what I do, is I create a audiobooks playlist, and I tell when I set up iTunes to sync, when you click Nano, there's a bunch of tabs at the top on all the things you can sync to your Nano. Click the audiobooks tab and uncheck everything except for that folder. Say only sync this folder. And then just remove stuff from the folder. The folder's a virtual. When you remove it from the folder, it doesn't delete it from the hard drive. Now, if you want to, you can delete it from the hard drive. But that's not going to remove it from the iPod. I think you have to uncheck it to remove it from the iPod.
Okay.
Okay? So, and frankly, I don't like to delete them because books sometimes, unlike, say, movies and TV shows, books I'd like to listen to again sometimes. So,
I moved them over to a separate file and then moved that file onto a flash drive.
Good. So you still have them. You haven't lost them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear up because I've got 6 megabytes of audiobooks that are taking up my...
Yeah, 6 gigabytes. Yeah. Because audiobooks, especially Audible, which supplies for iTunes, has 4 or 5 now audio recording formats, and the highest one is pretty big. They call it enhanced, and that's what I like because it's perfect. It's CD quality, crystal clear, and most of the time you have enough space to do that. So I keep it in enhanced, but I just put the books that I'm listening to on my Nano or my, and then that way, and maybe the next one, right? So if I get through a book, at least I have the next one. And you know how many books you're going to listen to, even if you're a long haul trucker, 4 or 5 books is probably sufficient. I lent audiobooks to a friend of mine. Her name is Roz Savage. She's a extreme sportswoman. She was the first woman to row solo across the Atlantic, first woman to row solo across the Pacific. The Atlantic she did without audiobooks, but when she was going across the Pacific, I said, Roz, you should take an iPod with audiobooks on there. She went through a book a day because she rows 14 or 15 hours a day, and that's all she listened to. She needed, and she spends 100 or more days at a time out at sea rowing. She read 100 books, in one sitting, in one session. So the key is, once again, there's a couple of ways to manage audio on an iPod. And this is true of books, music, TV, video, podcasts, whatever you put on your iPod. One is to check that box that says only sync checked items, and then uncheck the items you don't want. Other one is to use folders. You can even use smart playlists to manage it, and then only sync the folders you designate. So I have a number, because I have an iPhone, an iPod, other phones, other devices. I have a number of folders. I have an iPhone folder, and that's the stuff I'm going to put on the iPhone. That's another way to do it. That way, the check marks, it's kind of all or nothing, but this way you can have some more control over the whole thing. Hey, Larry, I'm so glad you listen on the road. Thank you very much. I'll try to keep you from falling asleep. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Bernie in Colorado, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bernie.
Hi, how are you, Leo?
I'm wonderful.
Good. I've got a couple questions. I've got an iPod, iPad, iPod Touch, iPhone, and so forth, and I'd like to reuse those things for some other purposes. In one case, or in a couple cases, I'd like to have, however, a tone control apps or tone control functionality in them. And
you mean like an equalizer?
Yeah, either graphic equalizer or just bass and treble, and maybe.
Well, all the current operating systems for iPods have that built in. If you go into the settings.
Well, I'll tell you, when I connect it to my stereo, I have to have the volume all the way up, and I don't notice any difference when I put a certain amount of bass or treble in there.
So it's kind of not a very good equalizer, is what you're saying.
Yeah, either that or when you're up to full volume, it basically is flat out instead of
right.
Amplified.
I don't think so. I think it. I mean, I don't know, but I would think that the equalization applies no matter what level. You might not notice it because if you're doing loudness, for instance, loudness you hear at low levels, but at high levels you might not notice.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But what I'm just wondering here is because I dock those things in a little power dock and take the audio out of the back end.
Oh, I wonder. It maybe the power dock ignores the EQ.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That may be the case, yeah, because the power dock is taking it out of the 30-pin port. Mm-hmm. So it may, in fact, be that that this is just for coming out of the speaker, the
like
audio
if you're not
connector.
Use the headphone output, then it's okay.
Yeah, it might be just for the headphones.
Yeah, so that's why I was wondering if there were an app that gives you either graphic equalization function or bass and treble, that sort of thing.
I'm almost certain that that's what's going on. The 30-pin port is just basic line level. They expect you to pump it through an amplifier with its own EQ, that kind of thing.
In one case I do, and I can take care of bass and treble. In the other case, I've got some equipment that doesn't have tone controls on it.
Right. Well, even if you had an app on the iPhone or the iPod, it wouldn't make any difference because the 30-pin connector that you're using in the dock is just sending bits out. It's just sending digital bits out, so it's not processing it in any way.
Yeah.
So whatever hardware then you're playing it on, the analog converter that you're playing, because it's going to get bits from the dock.
I'm taking the analog output out of the dock.
Yeah, but the dock's then doing the conversion because that 30-pin port, I don't think there's analog coming out of it. I think it's just bits. So that's the problem. I don't think an app on the iPod would do it. You're going to have to do it in the hardware. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So, Bernie, I want to clarify something. I've been talking with Jan here in our studio and our chat room. Both agree that there is, in fact, analog audio out of that 30-pin connector. Doesn't solve anything because it's analog line out. It is unequalized audio. So if you're going to equalize your iPod, somehow before you play it, if you want to add loudness, that's going to happen in your amplifier. Just like in the old days. Remember that? You put a CD in, and then you turn up the treble and the bass, or maybe sometimes on the receiver you'd have a loudness switch, which did a little bump in the bass and a little bump in the treble. You're going to have to do it that way. The iPod equalizer doesn't equalize the sound coming out the 30-pin port.
We have definitive evidence of that.
Let's see. I want to talk briefly about Carbonite.com, and then we're going to get back to the phones. And I've got Gary in San Diego. You're next, Gary. Don't go away. He wants to convert a video file so he can play it on his mobile device. This is a very common problem and question. I'll be glad to help you in just a second. Gary, San Diego, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Yeah, greetings from Southern California.
Well, it's nice to hear from you. Probably listening, I would guess, to our mothership, KFI, in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Great station.
Yes. I have a question regarding what is a good program, whether it's free or commercial, to convert a video file into a mobile device? Like, for example, if I want to convert like a MKV file and convert it into to my PSP, what's that?
Yeah, the MKV files are tough. They're Matryoshka, and it's a wrapper around a file format, a compression format that's pretty easy for most devices to play, H.264, but that wrapper confuses things like the PSP. So are you on Windows?
Yes. But I can go either Windows or Mac. I have a Mac as well.
You know, there are a lot of great choices out there. There's an open source program that a lot of these programs use that's a command line program called FFmpeg. But I'm going to tell you about one that I really like called Handbrake, and this is free. The website is handbrake.fr. It is Windows or Mac. And what Handbrake does is it'll take almost any file format and convert it to almost any other file format. And they have presets for almost everything, including PSP. And that's what you want, because you don't need to or want to know exactly what format the PSP wants. You know, you just want to get it done. So.
And also, I mean, not only, you know, for the specific mobile device, but also if you want to specify the language and if you want subtitles as well.
Yeah, it'll do that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
There are a ton of programs that'll do this, but Handbrake, I know, will take the Matryoshka format, the MKV format that you've got, and convert it to a suitable format for PSP. There are a ton of other. I mean, the chat room's coming up with a long list, a litany of free programs. DVDVideosoft.com, Xmedia Recode, which David Bix in our chat room says is better. He likes it better than Handbrake because it has more choices. Handbrake will do exactly what you want to do, that one thing. But I'm not familiar with Xmedia Recode. I'm going to have to take a look at it. It's at videohelp.com.
Okay. And can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Okay. What brand would you use for, I guess, I want to use my brother's, he has a Canon Rebel T2i.
Great.
And I want to be able to use it like a camcorder and be able to use, like, maybe, what brand would you recommend, like, for a, I guess, shotgun mic or something like that?
Yeah, Canon has its own shotgun mic that I've used in the past that goes right in the hot shoe, and that's great. So that's the first place I'd start. It's around $100. I also have used, and I like, something called the Rode, RODE stereo video mic. It's what I use on my 5D Mark II. But I don't, now, it needs a mini jack plug. Do you have a mini jack out for audio on the T2i?
I think, well, I have to take a look. I'm not too sure.
So that would be, if it does, then I think this Rode stereo video mic is really great. RODEMIC.com. But Canon makes one that goes right on the hot shoe that doesn't need another external connector. It goes on the flash hot shoe. So that might be a little bit easier for you.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And also, I just want to make a comment in terms of, well, because of, I guess, with the Sony, you know, with the security issue with their network.
Oh, can you believe this PlayStation thing? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, I don't play it as much on there.
Yeah, but aren't you worried? Because you once upon a time, you set up an account.
Yeah. Oh, but in terms of using a credit card, I use either I purchase a gift card and do it through there. So
That's
I
smart.
don't care what number that you.
That's so smart, Gary. And then there's a limit to how much that a bad guy could steal. You know, many credit card companies will also do this. You can either put a limit on a card. You can get a special number. So you can say to Citibank or Bank of America, look, I want a one-time use number for the Sony PlayStation Network. They'll give it to you. And there's either a limit on that or only Sony can use it. Not a bad guy. So those are absolutely things you should do. You know, from now on, if you knew it then, you'd be okay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and it's time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, all that. When I talk like that, I sound pretty nerdy, don't I? Yeah. Well, this isn't a show for nerds. This is a show for regular people to help regular people become nerds. No, I wouldn't even do that to you. It's to help regular people understand how to use this stuff so you can use it to have fun, change your life, change the world. And I really believe that. I really do believe that. I think this digital technology is an amazing tool. Of course, it's fun. I mean, you know, video games. I can't stop playing Portal 2. I mean, it's fun. But even more than fun. I mean, this is important. I mean, you don't have to look much farther than the revolutions happening now in the Middle East, in Egypt and Tunisia and Syria and Yemen, all thanks partly, not entirely. Of course, it takes a committed people to make the difference, but they have the tools thanks to the internet. And I think it's very telling nowadays that if a dictator, it used to be when a dictator wants to stay in power, they'd shut down the radio and TV stations, right? They'd take them over. Or if there's a coup, that's the first thing that the coup plotters do. They take over the government TV station. Now they shut down the internet. And it doesn't work, does it? The internet is like water. You can't keep it out. It just drips right through. So I'm just excited about the opportunity that inexpensive digital technology and the internet, the opportunity that they pose for people who want to have a voice, want to change the world, or just want to have a good time. And it is fun, isn't it? It really is fun. Unless you have a credit card with Sony PlayStation Network. Then it's not so fun. Those hackers, those wild and crazy hackers, I tell you. My goodness. They just never give up. They're like water. Well, they're like cockroaches more. Let's say hi to Bernie, Colorado. Hey, Bernie, welcome to the show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hello, Bernie. Oh, I guess I talked to Bernie, didn't I? He's the guy who had the treble thing, right? All right. Ray in San Diego. You're next. Poor Bernie. I gave him a heart attack. Hey, Ray. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Very well. What can I do for you today?
Over the past decades, I've accumulated a collection of VHS cassettes and more recently DVDs.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to snort. Okay, go ahead. I have a friend who has a VHS collection. He has every episode ever broadcast of Taxi. Yeah, and you're right to laugh because he's had this for a decade, right? And now you just go to Netflix and you watch it on your TV. So you would like
I want to copy over all of my VHS cassettes and put them onto a very large file server
great idea.
Specifically for holding videos.
Yeah, we call that a media server.
Okay, a media server. But I want
media.
a thing called commercial editing. I want to automatically eliminate commercials. Conserve some space.
What else would be cool is if you could take those VHS and automatically convert them to high def. That'd be so cool. Take the sound and make it surround 5.1. That'd be so cool. Can't do any of that stuff though.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to tease you. You might be, I don't know. I don't think there's any automatic commercial removal tool. There used to be things you could put on your TV, on your recorder. They would look for, there is apparently a brief few milliseconds of black between program and commercial. And so these devices would sit on your VHS, and they would pause it as soon as it saw the black. And then when it saw it again, it would unpause it. And the idea was, as you're recording, you could get rid of the commercial. It didn't work too well, unfortunately, because it wasn't always possible to get it. And I think I think any automated system, every once in a while, you're going to miss the second half of the show.
Yeah, but I may not live long enough to actually watch every one of these things. I want to preserve them so that, in case someday the mood moves me to watch, an old 77 Sunset Strip episode, which you're probably not even old enough to remember.
Are you kidding? 77 Sunset Strip.
Okay. I can just watch it without the commercials, but like I said, this is just more to preserve the library than it is anything else. And I've got 4 PCs set up with Hauppauge 2250 capture cards. And they all are indirectly now feeding a 32 terabyte media server, as you call it. And I just want to start sucking this data off, and if I can, automatically eliminate commercials. And I know there's one program out there that does it. It's called Video Redo. I just don't know how effective it is. and also Video Factory apparently has an option where it will at least attempt to do it. So
I don't have any experience with Video Redo or Video Factory. Chat room, do you have any? My best guess is it's going to do it sometimes, but not always effectively. And, that's almost worse than not doing it at all,
Well, except, if you have it on a server and you can fast forward, then that's
what
okay.
I would say. Leave the commercials in rather than accidentally, chunk out the second half of the show because you didn't realize the commercial wasn't the whole show.
Yeah.
And any decent editing software really will let you do this very, very quickly if you want to do it by hand. The thing that takes the longest is digitizing the VHS tape. That's the hard part.
Yeah. Well,
once you've got it on a hard drive, you put it in almost any video editor, even Windows Movie Maker, and you'll see the timeline, and you'll go, oh, there's a commercial. Mark, boop, mark, boop, mark. You could get rid of commercials literally in 2 minutes. It's not the editing of the commercials that's hard. It's the digitizing it because you have to do it in real time. You have to press play on the VHS recorder, and half an hour later, press stop. Or if it's Cookie, lend me your comb, it's an hour later, and you press stop, and that's what takes a long time.
Yeah. Well, getting it in, it hasn't been a problem.
Good.
Like with these remote servers, the capture servers, as opposed to the media server.
Right.
You can just play the VHS cassette and just let it play itself in. And
right. Well, I know Windows Media Server, if that's what you're using, Media Center, I should say, has supposedly a commercial dump plugin. But again, I don't know how well it will work.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's pretty easy. Getting it in is the hard part. Once you've got it in, you know what? You can clean it up. You can, tighten it up. I bet you on the VHS recordings, you've got a little extra sometimes on either end. You snip that off. That's not a hard thing to do. It's kind of satisfying. Now you have it, in there. The only thing I would caution you is, I don't know. I haven't checked, but it's how long before you can get 77 cent strip on Netflix or on demand. I mean, all this stuff is eventually being converted, I would guess. Netflix is working very quickly. Let me just check to get TV shows online. And that's what happens is, you've been saving these. And what we didn't count on is the fact that they would be made available. Now, there are shows that are so obscure, so little loved, or never recorded that maybe you won't ever see on DVD. That's not unusual either. Let me look. I'm going to Netflix just to see because I'd be very curious if 77 Sunset Strip would be. I think a lot of people have a kind of a fondness for this show. It's before my time, but I remember hearing about it. Sunset Strip, not the same show. Not even close. No, you know what? There isn't any Netflix of that, which means it probably was never put on DVD. So you should keep those VHS recordings. Those are worth saving. And I think a worthy project. Because someday you'll be old and infirm and you can just sit down and watch hundreds of hours of old shows. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So apparently, wait a minute. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I should say that, shouldn't I? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I was talking about the radio stations. I forgot to mention we are moving on XM satellite. Sometime, let me just check when the actual move will occur. Starting Wednesday, May 4th. Currently, we're on XM 158, America's Talk. And there's going to be a little rejigger there, and we will be moving to XM 166, which will be rebranded America's Talk. But that's not now. It's not till May 4th. So that's next weekend. So that will be live on America's Talk. That's 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday. And I'm very pleased that they rebroadcast 5 of the 6 hours we do the following week from 1 to 4 p.m. and 4 to 5 p.m., which is very confusing. Eastern time. 1 to 4 p.m. Pacific, 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. That doesn't make any sense. Must be 4 to 7 p.m., yeah. That is on America's Talk 158 right now, XM 158 right now. Not for long, though. Next weekend, retune to 166. And this is part of a whole reorganization of the Sirius XM channels. We are not on Sirius receivers, I'm sorry to say. But if you have an XM receiver, we are on 158 right now, 166 next week. I wanted to mention a commercial skipping program. Jan is in our studio and apparently likes to do the same thing. And he says that there's a program called, is it ComSkip? And it is for Windows Media Center? It's for Windows. So just search for ComSkip. He says it does a good job. Now, see, they're getting smarter. So I mentioned that the early commercial skippers, the hardware ones that you would actually put on a VHS recorder, on a VCR, would look for the momentary black between the program and the commercial. I'm sure ComSkip uses that, but they say they have much better results looking at the closed captioning. And there's a change in the flow of closed captioning. You get it from one source for the TV show, and then you get it. Many commercials are still closed captioned, but I guess there's some sort of switch that happens that they can reliably observe and use that to edit out commercials as they're recording. So that'd be, if you're dubbing over VHS tapes to hard drive, run the ComSkip software as you're doing it. He says it's kind of hacky to configure it, but once you get it in there, then during the dub, it will automatically cut those out. Thank you, Jan. That's great. Appreciate that. Now, back to the phones we go. The phone number, 8888 Ask Leo. By the way, website is techguylabs.com. And a little program note on that one. James DeRuvo, he's a scout leader, and it's a big scout weekend, so he's out camping or something this Saturday and Sunday during the show, but he will get those show notes up very quickly after he gets back. So you can go to the website, techguylabs.com right now, and find all sorts of stuff, including a link to our fabulous chat room, another place that you can get great answers, smart people in there. Also to the live audio and video of the show, the stations that broadcast the show, 144 strong now and all that. TechGuyLabs.com, but when you go to Saturday's show or Sunday's show, you won't find any show notes quite yet. This is show 765, and the show notes will be put in there pretty quickly once James gets back. We give him a little time to be a dad once in a while. Okay, if you insist. Shannon in Montana. Hey, Shannon, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
Great. What can I do for you?
Hey, I just had a quick question. I have never owned a laptop computer, and I'm currently out shopping for one. I was wondering what route you think I should go.
This is your first computer or just your first laptop?
First laptop.
So what do you have? So you have a desktop. What kind of desktop do you have right now?
It is a Dell.
Okay. And you're happy with it?
I am. It's actually my work's computer. I just use theirs.
You didn't have a choice. They gave it to you.
Exactly.
That's the best kind. Free.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I buy Dells for our office. We the front office still uses Windows. Most of the hosts and programmers, even our streaming engineers, they all use Macs. But the front office is our Windows users. I think a lot of financial folks and financial software is very Windows centric, so that's often the case. And that's what I buy. I like Dells. I think Dells make good hardware. They used to have the best support in the business. That's deteriorated a little bit, as everybody has, because support's so expensive and the margins on computers are now so razor thin they can't afford to give you great support. But I think Dell makes good laptops too. You know what? My favorite laptop right now. You want a business style like laptop, or are you looking for gaming, or what do you want to do with it?
It'll mostly be internet use as well as work use. I'm a safety guy, and I've got to put a lot of files on it. That's
Excellent.
What I'm looking for.
Okay, so you want a big hard drive. I am a big fan of the Lenovo computers for business. They're the old IBM ThinkPads, And they just came out with a new one that is thin and light but very powerful and has good storage. I mean, truthfully, even if you're putting documents on there, 500 gigabytes, which is kind of the standard now in laptops, probably is enough. I mean, you don't need terabytes of data. But I do love the Lenovo ThinkPad X220. This is, in terms of the quality of keyboard, the robustness of it, it's just very, solid. It's a business computer. You wouldn't be gaming on it. It doesn't have the world's greatest video card in terms of gaming, but it's fine for what you just described.
Okay.
And I think in the field this is a great choice. Other good brands, again, Dell. I'm less fond of Toshiba and HP these days. I've not been impressed by quality on those. Sony's are good, but the support is really bad for some reason. Acer makes some nice laptops as well as netbooks. But I think this Lenovo ThinkPad X220, what a great system that is. Okay.
Great.
Enjoy.
Right.
I think you're going to like the portability of laptops. Laptops are close to outselling desktops. If it weren't for businesses which buy desktops, laptops would easily outsell desktops these days. Most people are buying laptops because they're fast and they're light, and you can carry them around, and you can sit in the living room and you go anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. Enjoy, Shannon. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it, and I think you'll be very happy with it. I actually come so close to pulling the trigger on this Lenovo. It's just a beautiful piece of hardware, and a number of people have bought it. It just came out, the X220. If you want a tablet, they also make a tablet version of this, but I like this. And I'm presuming that you wanted Windows. If you wanted Mac, well, there's another story. That's a horse of a different color. My favorite laptop right now, the MacBook Air, is just fantastic. Boy, it's light, it's thin, it goes everywhere, and because it's got a solid-state disk drive in it, it is fast. It's got a real old processor. My MacBook Air has a 1.4 gigahertz Core 2 processor. It's about a 2 or 3-year-old processor, and it feels faster than my desktops because of that solid-state drive. That makes such a huge difference. They're expensive, but boy, they make a big difference in terms of overall speed. 8888 Ask Leo. That, my friends, is my phone number. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, let's talk tech. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Waning moments of the Tech Guy show. And I don't know why, but every time we're waning, Dick DiBartolo shows up. He's the Giz Whiz, and Mad Magazine's maddest writer and a gadget hound. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, that was perfect lead-in. You said it's waning and gadget hound.
Yeah.
Because for today's gadget, I'm going to talk about Fairway's Thunder Shirt.
Now, we should explain. Fairway is a dog. In fact, you got Fairway at the...
that's not Fairway in that other picture.
Another guy. That wasn't... It's a dog. Oh, there's two of you. Fairway is the dog that you picked up at the Fairway supermarket.
Yes.
And she is
not on sale. There was a booth outside.
She was on sale. Yeah.
New leash on life. Yeah. And that's where Fairway
So you gave
from.
Fairway a new leash.
Yeah.
And she's a little afraid of thunder and lightning.
A little when it's thunder. And the reason I picked this for today's gadget is anybody who saw the ABC piece and has a dog goes, does that thing really work? Yes. So if it thunders, and Fairway's nickname is Weather Girl. Uh-huh. So if the weather says bright and sunny today and not a cloud in the sky, and I'll say, Fairway, we're right. And Fairway's in the bathroom trying to push away behind the toilet.
She knows.
I know the weatherman is wrong.
She knows.
And there will be a storm within 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. And she has a... yes.
So the Thunder Shirt is designed to help?
The Thunder Shirt, it's a very simple little coat that can go on in about 10 seconds. It's all Velcro. And, I spoke to one of the inventors, and they said, it's when people are frightened, if no one is around to hug you, you hug yourself.
Right.
And so
I do that all the time. I'm a self-hugger.
At lunch, I kept saying, Leo, will you eat something? So I can't let go. I can't. I love hugging myself. So it's embarrassing, Leo, to have to feed you in a public restaurant. I didn't mind it at your house, but I don't like it when we go out in public. Just a word in your ear. Yes. So this evidently gives them a feeling of confidence because when I saw her disappear, I said, Fairway, I have something new for you. So Fairway likes anything with the word new, so she came running out.
She's literally a gadget hound.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. So she puts it on and she stands there, and I figure, oh, she's not going to go back in the bathroom. So it starts thundering, and she walks and stands in the doorway of the bathroom looking out, not hiding. And then she walks out, and then she stays out during the storm. And the second thunderstorm was dinner time.
Wait a minute. She doesn't care that it's lightning and thunder?
She does not care. I, on the other hand, was behind the toilet. It was a very bad storm. So no, it has really worked well. Now, I noticed one day when I went out to the store, she went and sat in the doorway of the bathroom. So it gives her confidence, especially if I'm home, but she doesn't try to get in the tub or try and push her way behind the toilet. So it definitely works.
This is a really interesting idea. Now, I'm told that people like Temple Grandin, who's an animal behaviorist, has used these kinds of things for larger animals, for livestock and so forth. And so this is something that I guess all animals, they just feel better if they're babies. You swaddle babies too,
yeah,
right?
You do. You absolutely do.
In fact, my wife swaddles me every night before we go to bed. So
yeah,
I know it works.
Sight too. Now I know why you don't invite people to the home.
Let me out of here. Let me out of here. So that's cool. Now, how much is the Thunder shirt?
Thunder shirt is $36, and you buy it by chest size. So,
I would be say a 42 regular.
You would be a German Shepherd.
St. Bernard.
St. Bernard. Yeah. Somewhere in that range.
Thundershirt.com. This is not an ad. Dick is just, I guess, a confirmed user as a pet owner. And I know you're an animal lover, so you would never do anything that you thought was cruel in any way.
No, not me, pal.
No. Thundershirt. Wow.
Thundershirt.
Dick is online. In fact, you find out more about the Thundershirt on his website, gizwiz.biz. There's a lot of gadgets there. And
this is the very last day, if you're listening.
It's the end of the month. April
end of the month.
30th.
Midnight.
And you could play the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad from this guy who's Mad Magazine's maddest writer.
Yes, sir.
And you just have to, what do you have to do? You have to say what this thing is.
Just go there, click on the What the Heck Is It game, the little logo that Myra designed. Guess what it is? We prefer you make up a stupid answer as to what it is. And we give away 12 Mad Magazines autographed if you know what it really is. And up to 24 Mad Magazines for stupid, silly answers.
Oh, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome. You snuck up on me. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, and it's time on this May Day, a beautiful May Day, to talk about technology. Computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, all that cool stuff. It's the toys, of course, and I think that's the first thing people get focused on, the toys. I used to get mad. Because people would say, oh, what's the coolest gadget? And I don't really consider myself a gadget guy. Gadgets to me are kind of trivial little throwaway things that are, have some cool factor, but are toys. And I love gadgets, and they're kind of like candy, aren't they? They're maybe not so good for you, but they're fun. Not so good for your wallet, but they're fun. But I really think that this isn't a gadget show, and so I don't consider myself a gadget guy. We'll talk about technology and how it's changing your life, though. And sometimes that is a gadget. Certainly these days, cell phones are the real, topic of the conversation. Mobile internet, mobile computing, which is really the cell phone is. That's what it is. It's not about phone calls anymore. It's about communications. It's about taking something in your pocket that has the power of a desktop computer and using that power in the real world. I love this ad. You've seen the ad where the little girl's at a lemonade stand and her dad says, oh, here, Susie, and gives her his smartphone. You can use this for a calculator. And she ends up building a lemonade empire because she's got maps and she's got all the fees. It's a Verizon ad. And I'm not a big Verizon fan necessarily, but I like the concept. That in a way, we are giving our children these powerful tools, the next generation. And it's amazing. I can't wait to see what they do with them. And that's really what this is about. This show is about talking about these things, how they're changing our world, and very practically, how you can use them to change your world, your life, to have more fun, sure, but also to make a difference in your personal life and the world around you. So I think to say gadgets sounds trivial. I don't think a trivial thing. I think our world is changing, and we need to understand it, and that's what I do here. I certainly invite your comment, your thoughts, your questions. I love to gab about this stuff. That's what I do for a living. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. I just downloaded for my Android phone, and I guess it's on the iPhone too, a new application HBO put out yesterday that is another example of how our world is changing. It's called HBO Go. Now, you don't have to be an HBO subscriber to think this is of interest. It's certainly not of interest. I mean, it's not of practical interest if you're not an HBO subscriber. But if you are an HBO subscriber, this is pretty cool because what it does is it lets you watch anything on HBO on a portable device, streamed directly. And you know who's left out here? The middleman. I guess maybe not, because I noticed one of the things you have to do with this is you have to log into your cable provider, but that's so they can validate that you're paying a cable bill. But you're not watching it on cable, are you, if you're watching it on your smartphone? And even if you're watching it at home on your computer or via the Wi-Fi on the smartphone, I guess it would work on the iPad too, right? Even if you are watching it at home, and you are, in effect, using your cable company because that's who provides your internet connection, you're not paying them the big bucks they'd like. It's not a complete elimination of the cable company. Obviously, you have to be a subscriber through the cable company to use this. That's the way HBO is keeping the cable company happy. But don't you kind of sense the beginning of the end for these middlemen? It's happened in so many industries. It happened in the travel industry. It's happening in the real estate industry. The people who intermediate for you, who represent you, are in some ways no longer needed. You just go direct to the seller. And certainly HBO would like this. I could tell you I have some experience in this because I used to work for a cable channel called Tech TV. And yeah, it's expensive to do television, but the real expense of a cable channel isn't that. It's the marketing expenses, getting the cable company to carry your channel. And it's not just the cable company, Comcast, and you go to the national office. No. What you do first is you go to the national office and you get something they call a hunting license. I like the imagery. You get a hunting license from Comcast in Philadelphia, from the big national office, saying that, yes, we approve of this cable channel, and now you have to go to every town in the country, one by one, and convince them to carry it. That's why, of course, the big networks carried, HBO gets carried, but these small cable channels, that's why they're in some towns and not in all towns. We, at Tech TV, we only gotten about half of all cable homes by the end. And only that at great expense. Tens of millions of dollars every year in cash payments to these regional cable companies to get them to carry you. It's very expensive. And then, of course, the cable company eventually will pay the cable channel per subscriber, but they get that money from the subscribers. So it's an interesting transaction. You're as a cable, let's say you've got Leo's cable channel. I now have to go to Comcast in Indianapolis and say, please, would you carry this on your system? And they say, what are you going to do for me? And I'll say, well, I have here in this black bag, I've got $500,000 in marketing co-op money that you can use to promote the channel. And they go, hey, thank you. That's very handy. Now, eventually, I'm going to get that money back from Comcast Indianapolis because they're going to pay me for the subscribers, but it's very expensive. And Comcast, they got it good, right? Because they're going to take that $500,000. Now they're happy. They're going to put the channel on, and then they're going to start charging subscribers for the channel. But this system is starting to break down because Leo's cable channel doesn't have to go to Comcast Indianapolis anymore. Leo's cable channel can just be on the internet. And you, as a viewer, can just watch it. And don't you think HBO would like to do that? HBO must be spending so much money to get these cable companies. I guess now they've got it, right? They've spent the money. And now they're just raking it in as the cable companies give them money. But if you could go directly to HBO, everybody'd be happy. In fact, forget HBO, they're a middleman too. What if the people who create shows for HBO, The Sopranos and Game of Thrones, and what if the movie companies that sell them movies, what if they could just go to you directly and say, hey, $40 a season, you can have The Sopranos. They'd make more money. They'd eliminate, because these middlemen take money, Comcast and HBO, they take their cut. And that's what's happening. That's what's very interesting. The problem is that we've got all these interlocking arrangements. Comcast can't just say, HBO can't just say, oh, forget Comcast, I'm going to sell it directly to you. No, they have to do it through Comcast. Otherwise, they're going to lose, cable carriage. And probably it says so in their contracts, too. I know that it did Tech TV, because here we are, we're Tech TV. We would like to put all our shows on the internet, right? Why not? You guys are techie. Can't. Contracts are very specific. No more than 10 minutes an hour. Can't. And that's why you don't see this rapid innovation and see companies moving to the internet. You don't see movie companies going to the internet, although you're starting to see more of that. YouTube wants to get in on that. They're encouraging independent productions, aren't they? And it's mostly going to be, let's face it, companies that are new. They don't have a dog in this hunt. They don't have all those contracts and all those requirements. They don't have to keep their old business alive to create the new business. That's exciting, because instead of the same old, you're going to see new, innovative producers doing different things. But I do think the time will come, we're kind of waiting for this, where somebody big, a Matthew Weiner who does Mad Men, or the guy who does The Wire, saying, why am I going hat in hand to Hollywood? Why don't I just produce this on the internet? I can get some investors, raise the money, sell it directly to my customers. Why don't I do that? That time is coming. But those cable companies are going to fight tooth and claw to keep it from happening. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's talk next. Leo Laporte. Wow, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. 888-827-5536. The easiest thing to do is go to the webpage. It's got everything there. The phone number, the chat room, the live audio and video, everything you want, all the stations that we're on. 144 stations now. All of those stations in the Tech Guy Radio Network, they're all there at the website. What's the website address, you might ask? Well, I'd be glad to tell you. It is techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. We welcome Fox News Radio 810 for Franklin, Hart, and Madison joining us this weekend. And from Berlin, Wisconsin, WISS-AM, but I shouldn't call them that. I should call them Big Red AM 1100. Thank you for joining the Tech Guy Network. Great to have you both. Great to have everybody here on this May Day. I hope it's a beautiful day where you are. Going to the phones, we'll start with Ari in Brooklyn. Hi, Ari. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Kyle, Oh, there we go. Hi, Ari.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. What can I do for you today?
I'm an avid BlackBerry user. I'm actually still using the 8830 because I just love the ease of use from, hitting the keys, because I use it exclusively for email.
Right.
In addition, I use it for tethering, and that's actually kind of slow. My question for you is, I've heard about the BlackBerry Dakota that's supposed to be coming out, and I was wondering if you knew about the anticipated release date and, I guess, ease of use and how much faster it would be as far as tethering goes.
Yeah, so there's a number of things there. RIM, which makes the BlackBerry, has been struggling of late because other smartphones have kind of eclipsed RIM, although that hasn't slowed them down. They released the Playbook, which I was impressed with, although it lacks some applications. And there are, BlackBerry World is coming up, and we expect that they will announce at least a couple of new phones at BlackBerry World. Some of them have been kind of leaked by accident.
Right.
But I would expect that's when at least you're going to see more information. And what carrier are you on?
I'm on Verizon.
Okay. So problem number one is that 8830 is 3G but not 4G. So one of the things that will be improved is if, and I'm sure they will, BlackBerry announces a 4G. I think they leaked the Bold Touch 9900, which I think is a 4G phone. It uses the newest version of their operating system. I think it's they call it something, but it's 6.5 or 6.1, I think. They've got the Apollo. There's all sorts of interesting phones coming out. They look like, I have to say, a variation on a theme. I mean, you'll be very comfortable going from your Curve to this Touch. It almost looks like the same hardware, just faster, better. And I suspect that, tethering is mostly, the speed of tethering is mostly conditioned by the speed of the network you're on. And going to a 4G network, if it's available in your area, you're in Brooklyn, yeah, it is available. Certainly make a big difference. But also the speed of the processor and the ability of the operating system to pass that data along to you. So I think a newer, faster phone will be a difference. BlackBerry World is next week, so we'll know whatever it is. We'll know. That's when they're gonna make any announcements that they're gonna make. And I can't imagine that they wouldn't announce whatever's coming up in the next 6 months at BlackBerry World.
Got it. So when's BlackBerry World happening? Did you mention
next week in Orlando.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you don't have to wait long.
Perfect.
Okay. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, Ari. Bye-bye. I don't think they've announced it. Have they announced anything yet? We just saw that. Actually, next week. No, this week. Not next week. This week. They haven't. Here we are Sunday. I guess we're officially in the new week. I don't think they have announced anything yet, though. So we'll keep our eye peeled. I have to say, I started until the iPhone came out. I started as a big BlackBerry fan. I used the BlackBerry back when it was a big old pager with a keyboard, not even a phone, and it was just mind blowing to be able to send and receive email. And I remember interviewing the chairman of the FCC at that time, Michael Powell. This would have been in 2004, 7 years ago. And he and everybody else in government carried these big BlackBerry pagers. And I asked him, well, how do you use it, Commissioner Powell, Chairman Powell? And he said, and I think this is probably how it was most widely used. I don't use it so much to read and send and respond to email. I use it to clear out stuff I just need to know about, so that when I get back to work, my inbox is ready for me to do the hard work. Because you still kind of want a big keyboard. And I think a lot of people, for a lot of people, that's the BlackBerry's primary use, is as a email device with a phone. The hardware did not keep up, though. And I was a Torch user. I guess I had a Curve. I was a Curve user when in 2007 the iPhone came out, and I realized what a great leap we'd made. BlackBerry tried to keep up with the Storm, which was essentially their version of an iPhone, but it wasn't as good. It wasn't even close. And, if you're going to go after the iPhone, you got to be better. You can't be not as good. That's not going to do it. But many people still like a physical keyboard, something you can't get on most smartphones. They like the BlackBerry form factor. And if you're using it in business or government, in many cases, because your business or government institution has a BlackBerry server, it just works better. So I think they're maintaining some market share just based on that. Remains to be seen if they will continue to survive, however. I think it's touch and go right now. Scotland Calling's pointing out that a lot of kids have BlackBerries. I've noticed that. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe they're getting hand-me-downs from mom and dad. They're certainly less expensive, and you don't have to pay that $90 a month data plan in most cases. Hey, let's say hi to Angela, Sonoma, California, just up the road a piece. Hi, Angela.
Hi. Hey, I am looking to buy a laptop, and be the first one that I have, although I've been used to using just a PC.
Okay.
At work, but and I'm not terribly savvy, but I don't want to limit myself should I, upgrade my skills. And I'm thinking of maybe using it for, branching out on my own, either, as a coach, using it for training, facilitation. And I'm even thinking of maybe a Mac, just because I have seen what others have
If you're
done.
even thinking of a Mac, then I would get one. The only people I don't recommend Macs to are people who say, and I want a Windows machine. Unequivocally, I know I want Windows because my brother-in-law is an expert, or I have all this Windows software I need to run, or since I already know Windows, I don't want to do anything else. But if you're even saying, maybe I should get a Mac, absolutely. The Mac is a great home machine. The only negatives on a Mac are that they're more expensive. But I think you get better hardware as a result. I mean, I think they're really quality hardware. And by the way, much better support. They haven't, every other PC manufacturer's unbundled support. You get lousy support because you're not paying for it. So part of the expense of a Mac is just better support.
Okay.
And then the other thing you get, that you don't get, I should say, is, and I don't think this is going to matter to you, but gaming is not as great on a Mac.
No, forget that.
It's getting better, but it's not as, PCs are still better gaming platforms, but you don't care about that. Everything else you want to do, with the exception of a handful of programs that are Windows only, and I think even that's changing. You could. Pardon me?
Which ones are those?
Well, you'll know. Actually, hang on, because it's a good question. We are going to get Scott Wilkinson on, our home theater guy, in about 4 minutes, but do hang on, because I'd like to talk more about why you might want to get a Mac. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll get back in a bit to Angela. She wants to buy her first laptop. She's used desktops, and she's thinking about a Mac, and I just want to give her the pros and cons in a non-religious way, because I think, you know how that is. A lot of people take this stuff extremely seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And it isn't. It's not a religion. It's not football teams. It's just a device. and some, it's like some people like BlackBerries, some people like iPhones. Don't take it personally. So we'll talk both pro and con on
it's not politics, after all.
Well, geez, let's hope we've had enough of that. And the royal wedding. Scott Wilkinson is on the line. He's the editor-in-chief of the Ultimate AV magazine at ultimateavmag.com. Also a columnist for Home Theater Magazine, hometheatermag.com. Joins us every week. In fact, I'm going to be taking a couple of weekends off, and if you would, we would love it if you would fill in for me.
I would absolutely love to do that.
Good.
I'd be very pleased and privileged to do so.
Later this month, I have to go to Paris at the beck and call of the president, Nicolas Sarkozy.
Really?
Well, basically the G8. You've heard of the G8 summit. That's
Sure.
where you always get all those protesters. It's the 8 largest, most developed nations: U.S., France, Germany, Great Britain, Japan, and so forth. Meet once a year. The leaders meet. They're meeting this year in Deauville in France. So President Sarkozy is the host, the nominal host, and he's decided, and I think this is great, that a couple of days before the G8 summit, he is convening a forum of technology entrepreneurs, leaders, thought leaders, to draft a briefing, I guess, for the G8 summit on the internet and the economy, on how governments should think about the internet. And when he invited me, I was so flattered, because I think I have a different, perhaps, perspective than Verizon. and Comcast, and even Google and Microsoft. And so, all of those people will be at the table, but I'm really glad that somebody could be at the table who will say, hey, let's consider the societal importance of the internet and a free and open internet that gives people a chance to innovate and develop. And in the long run, that's better for the economy. You can reward the current businesses by closing the internet down and making it their bailiwick, or you could think for the future and the future of your nations and of your children, and make sure it's a free and open internet where they can innovate, and the next Google and the next Microsoft and the next Verizon can be created.
That's great.
So I want to stand up and be counted. So it's a great opportunity. I hate to leave the show, but I will be there May 21st and 22nd, and I would love it if you'd fill in for me.
I would be delighted to do so.
So stand by. We don't know which day, but Scott will do one of those days. Meanwhile, I know you've got a new feature on the Ultimate AV magazine.
Yes, indeed. I want to make sure everyone knows this. As you know, I answer questions online all the time from readers and listeners. I've been doing it on Ask Home Theater on the hometheatermag.com website, but I get so many more questions than I can possibly answer there. So I've started a new feature on Ultimate AV called Ask Scott.
I like the idea.
And I answer a question a day.
Wow, you're a bold
every
man.
day. And it may end up increasing because I still get a ton of questions.
Sure.
The other thing that I want to make sure everyone knows is to send your questions to me. You can send them to scott@techguylabs.com. That email address used to direct to my corporate email. And I've now set up a Google Gmail account because
of the volume.
And my corporate email system wasn't designed to handle that kind of volume.
Yeah. Welcome to the 21st century, Scott.
Yes, indeed. Now, you're actually the last question I posted. Some of the questions that I get, I can't answer because I'm not really an expert on certain things. And the last question I posted is just like that. And I wanted to bring it up to your audience in particular because I hope when I post a question like that I'll get some responses from people who know more than I do.
In the comments.
In the comments, exactly.
Yeah. There's the beauty of the internet.
Yeah.
It's no longer, a monologue. It's a dialogue. It's communication.
Exactly.
I love
exactly.
that.
And this is what I want to happen with this column. And so this question is the reader wrote in and said he's trying to import all of his 8mm videotapes, home movies or whatever, and into his computer. And he was getting some problems. One, the computer file looked darker than it did through the eyepiece of the camera that was playing the file. And what did I recommend for the best hardware and software to do this? Well, I don't have a lot of experience in that particular area, so I threw it open to the readers. I did contact Alex Lindsay to ask him if he knew anything about it, and he did have one good thing to say. He said that it might very well be there are several stages in this signal path, right, going from the camera through the capture device into the computer, into whatever software you're using. And at each step along that path, there may very well be a different way in which that step is handling what's called gamma, which is the way the picture responds to different levels of brightness in the information. So he said you might want to play around with that. But otherwise, he said, I haven't really imported videotape into a computer, into a PC anyway, which is what this person is using, for like the last 10 years. So he didn't really have any up-to-date knowledge about product and so on. So I throw it open to the readers and the listeners, and I really hope you'll go to ultimateavmag.com if you know anything about this subject, and insert a comment about what you might recommend.
That's the best way to do it because everybody has some different experiences. I can speculate as Alex did. I have to say, just looking at looking at monitors, there's a huge variation in brightness.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is true is that we tend to run our monitors too brighter than they should be. In fact, this when you go from dynamic to the movie setting on your HD TV, it's suddenly dark.
Yeah, it looks dark. It looks dark, but you just take a little while to get used to it. It's going to be easier on your eyes. You're going to have less eye strain. It's going to ultimately look better. You just have to take a little while to get used to it.
The real issue is the detail there? Is all the information there?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times, especially computer users, often set things too bright. That eyepiece on the camera is probably set brighter than you want it to be so that it's more easily visible in daylight and in unusual situations.
Yeah.
That's not how bright you would want it to be on the TV anyway. So,
right. So maybe what the result that they're getting is correct after all.
Yeah. That's what I would say is, first of all, don't assume just because it's darker than the eyepiece that it's wrong. It actually may be that the eyepiece is wrong. You should look at it on your TV, once you transfer it over and edit it. And even your computer monitor may not be very well calibrated. Computer monitors tend to be set much brighter than they should be for movie viewing. Put it on your TV set. If you can see the detail in the darkness, isn't that how you want it, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the darkness should be as dark as it can be that you still see detail.
Correct. That's exactly right. You want to be able to, and that's one of the parameters that I evaluate with TV reviews all the time is what's called shadow detail. So in the low light scenes, the best example is on Master and Commander, the opening shots of the watchmen walking through under the decks, while everyone's asleep in their hammocks. It's very dark, but there is some low level detail in there, and a poor TV, it'll all just look like a solid gray blob.
Right. You want it to look like black with some detail in it, which is how life is. And I suspect that's probably what's going on, that the eyepiece is brighter in the camera. When he digitizes it, he's looking at it on his computer screen. It might even be darker still on your TV set, but if you could see the detail, if you're not losing stuff that you could see in the eyepiece. Look at the eyepiece, look at the blacks. I bet the blacks are gray in the eyepiece.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be answering at least one question a day in this Ask Scott column, and I encourage everyone to send their questions to me at scott@techguylabs.com. That'll get redirected to my Gmail account, and I'll go from there.
Thank you, Scott. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
This land is your land, and this land is my land. From California to the New York Island.
Now, that's something you don't hear on a modern radio. We sure ought to.
This land was made.
Great Woody Guthrie. Love that song. Good choice, Kyle. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We are talking about computers, the internet, cell phones, all the technology stuff. And on the line with me is Angela from Sonoma, California. Thank you for hanging on, Angela.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate it. We do Scott at that same time every day, so I had to do it. But I'm very glad to continue our conversation. Angela says, I have a desktop and I'm ready to buy my first laptop, and I was thinking of a Mac. So I wanted, in a non-partisan way, describe pros and cons. And, of course, there are people who are fans of either team, who, Windows and Mac, will have more partisan comments. But I'm going to try to be as balanced as I can on this. And I use both, I should say. And I think there are pros and cons on both. The good, I told you the bad things about the Mac, which is more expensive, and gaming is maybe not quite up to par. The good things about the Mac is security is at a higher level, not because it's inherently more safe. It's my opinion. That's because it's just not attacked. But that's okay. It doesn't matter why. There currently are in fact, I will say no viruses in the wild for the Mac, so you don't have to worry about security to the degree. You should still be aware and alert, but you don't have to worry. If you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. It can be really the end of the world on a PC. That's a huge advantage. Apple used to say easier to use, the computer for the rest of us. I would disagree with that. The Mac and Windows 7 are very similar and just as easy on either side. It might be easier for you to use Windows because you've used it.
Okay.
But I don't think you're going to... But the truth is, if an alien came down from space and I put a Mac and a PC in front of them and I said, boy, we have fought religious wars over this, they'd say, why? There's menus, there's windows, you close the window, you expand. The truth is, the set of software, the set of capabilities are very similar. Windows uses a control panel to set up the system. Macintosh calls it the system preferences. That's the order of difference. On Windows, you close a window by clicking in the upper right corner. On the Mac, you click in the upper left corner. It's stuff like that. You could deal with it.
Yeah.
Now, you asked me about Windows software. You have to be the judge of what software you need to use on it. But if it's the standard stuff, browser, email, Office suites, that kind of thing, they're completely PowerPoint. You can get on both. Microsoft makes the complete Office for both Mac and Windows, and they're functionally identical.
Okay.
So in terms of computers, from a real-world perspective, there's not that much difference. I do like a Mac. I think they're better quality. I think for home users, they're really a good choice. And, by the way, the Mac can run Windows. If you had to run a Windows program, Windows runs fine on a Mac. Not vice versa. You can't run OS X on a Windows machine, but you can run Windows on a Mac.
Okay. What about a model? I know a friend just bought a Mac Pro, but it was a little upgraded because she uses it for music, and I wouldn't be
You probably don't need that. And certainly, there's the MacBook, which is $1,000, but it's white plastic. I'm not crazy about the design on it. It's a little clunky. I would look at, there's really two choices. I would look at a 13-inch MacBook Pro. Is small important to you?
I do have a smaller, I'm thinking, in terms of lightweight, but it's more
if you want lightweight, I would look at the Air. The Air is my absolute favorite. Okay. Here's the negatives on the Air. It's got a smaller hard drive because it's a solid-state drive. But that makes such a difference in speed. And I don't think 64 gigabytes, which is the starting point of that, is that small.
Okay.
The screen is a little tiny. It's 11 or 13. I personally think for most people, the base model, 11-inch, which is $999, is actually a great little computer.
Okay. What's the difference between the 13 and the 11-inch in terms, other than the size?
Size and price, obviously. The 13 also has a bigger hard drive, and you can get a faster processor. Actually, you can get a faster processor either. Okay. I wouldn't worry about the faster processor. It's not fast enough to notice. Your best bet is, Angela, you're in Sonoma, so you might have to go to Santa Rosa. It's probably your nearest Mac store. Go to a Mac store and just try the models. You're going to look at the MacBook Air. you're going to look at the MacBook Pro, and you're going to have to decide between a 13-inch and a 15-inch screen on the MacBook Pro. You're not worried about speed. The nice thing about the Macs, because there's only one manufacturer, it's a very linear curve between price and performance. You can almost say, well, I'm willing to spend this much. Good, that's what you should get. Then you spend you can almost do it by price.
Okay.
I think you would be very happy with a MacBook Air. I tell you what, it's so light. You could stick it in your purse. You'd hardly notice it's there, and yet it's a full computer. I just love it.
Really?
Yeah.
So it has all the functionality and.
Well, here's the one. There are a couple of things it doesn't have. One, it doesn't have a DVD drive in it. You can buy an external DVD. I tell you what, think about the last time you used your DVD drive in your computer.
Well, actually, I do use it when I teach, because I project off of it.
Okay, then you might want to get so you're a teacher and you're going to use it for teaching. So that's why you want PowerPoint. Yeah. And okay, so the Air would be fine for that. But if you say I want to play back DVDs, you have a choice. You could buy the external DVD drive and just leave it at school, so you're not schlepping it around. Or
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, then you probably do want to look at a MacBook Pro, which has the DVD drive, and then it's just a question of what screen size you want.
Oh, okay.
13, 15, or 17. I don't recommend the 17. It's too big.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the 13. I think the 13-inch MacBook Pro is a nice compromise, and that's a lot. That has bigger hard drives, is certainly more powerful.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Angela, my pleasure. What do you teach?
It's a sociology class.
At college level, or?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
So
it's a class, and so it's not. It's that's like one of the things that I do, and then I also do training in a corporate setting.
Yeah, I think for things like that, you might want to look at Keynote, which is Apple's PowerPoint. It's beautiful.
How do you?
Keynote. It's part of the iWork package. iWork has a word processor called Pages and a presentation program called Keynote. And the total of them, well, I think now they sell them on the App Store, so I can't remember what it is, but it's pretty cheap. It's $30 or something like that for each.
Okay.
And I think that they're really good. And I think might be more. It'll give you a different look. PowerPoint is, when I see a PowerPoint deck, I know immediately PowerPoint.
Yeah, it is kind of boring.
Yeah, this will dress it up. The students will go, ooh. And of course, that's what you want, right? Give me your attention, please. Angela, great to talk to you. Enjoy your new computer. And if you have any questions, you know where to reach me.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care. Danny, Indianapolis, Indiana. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
Very well. What's up?
Well, I had the Droid Incredible, and I got the Droid X basically because I wanted a bigger screen.
I love the Droid X. If my business partner hadn't lost it in a cab, I'd still have it.
Oh, that's
I lent it to her. She said, "Oh, I'm really interested in it." And I said, "Well, try it for a week." I as you know, more than one phone that she lost. That's all right. I love Android. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I am too. And I use a program called Handbrake because I still use the iTunes ecosystem. I would just buy DVDs and rip them onto my computer. I put them, drag and drop them to my SD card, and watched them just fine on my Incredible, and then I swapped the SD card.
What's the problem? We're running out of time. Quickly.
It just won't play my movies. It says, I don't know if it doesn't support that or what.
Yeah, well, and that's not surprising. I'm going to put a link in the show notes, how to convert videos and transfer them to the Droid X. Every phone, because, they're constrained resources. They don't have the fastest processor. They don't have a lot of memory. They may not have the codecs you need. So you need to convert the videos to a format that is exactly compatible. You've got the first part, which is Handbrake. And knowyourcell.com has a great article on what settings to use with Handbrake to make it work on the Droid X. Hey, I'm out of time. Thanks for being here. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Bye-bye.